Good evening, everybody. We are here in the studio with Rafidah, Aziz, and this is the first time we are doing this show together, or this discussion together, and we were supposed to do this before the MCO of Sri, but because of the MCO we had to postpone it. Right. So thank you so much for agreeing to come.
Welcome.
And be with us here today and discuss a very, very important topic about leadership, the leadership that Malaysia deserves today. So what are your thoughts about these 4 words?
First of all, let's not talk about leaders. Because leaders, people always associate with posts, and that's why there's a big scramble for posts to be a prime minister. Scramble for posts to be leaders in party, because leaders is the term that's being used. I would prefer you use leadership, because leadership has content. Leadership cuts across all borders, because you can be a man, a woman, whatever race, religion, faith, creed, social strata. The qualities of leadership that reside in a person makes that person have all the ingredients to be a leader. So just because somebody wins a post, that's not a leader. You may have a real dungu winning a post by paying off people to vote for him or her, and he or she becomes a leader. That's not. You see, so we have to change the culture first. Go for the leadership qualities, and to me, most important is any person that can be deserves to be accepted as a leader with leadership qualities would be first honesty, integrity, accountability, responsibility, discipline, able to work as a team and to motivate, passion for doing whatever it is. That we are talking about political leadership, it means working for the country, not just working for your party. Or if it's in the private sector, it's working to make the private sector business grow so that it can really benefit the workers and the society that company has as a stakeholder. So in other words, let's talk about leadership. That's why we're having so much scramble for posts. It's like musical chairs now in Malaysia. They forget, if you don't have any of those qualities residing in you, don't spoil the scramble. Enough scrambling already. Let's have real leadership show up. And to me in Malaysia, we should be talking about Malaysian leadership that is not driven by race, by religion, by partisanship. Of course we have party politics, but party politics should not be partisan politics. There's a big difference, your party, my party, but we're not partisan in that sense. We, for example, we have the same objectives for the Rakyat, the same objectives towards politics for development, the same wish to see the country grow, right? We already missed the developed nation status. So in other words, let's start on the premise of leadership. Because if you talk about leaders, then no point, we're going in a circle. Okay?
You've been a leader in your own right.
No, don't ascribe that to me.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying I've been in politics for a long time,
and government. And how was your friendship with people like Kapal Singh, Lim Kit Siang in Parliament?
I mean, you can ask them. I don't have anything personal against people in anything. Because to me, politics is not personal. Politics is about what is it that you have as goals and targets. And we all have the same goals and targets. How you do it may be different according to your party principles or whatever it is, right? Or party culture. And as far as I recall, I have not made enemies with anyone. In fact, Kit Siang from those days, we have a little bantering, of course in Parliament, and of course outside if I see him, I will also banter a bit, but with nothing, no malice. The late Tan Chee Kun, Pato, the late Pato, talking about late, the late passing like you mentioned. Of course, when I have to answer questions, don't give me any stupid questions, you get back.
Were there a lot of screaming in Parliament back then?
I don't, not with me. Okay. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
With me, it's really very professional. But don't ask me stupid questions. You also get equally, do your homework. And because the Parliament is not the place for us to waste time. It's about asking for questions from the government. Government gives the right answers. Some of them ask for future programs, things like that. Right? So Parliament is a hallowed place. Don't play the fool with it. Don't open it as you went and as you like,
Yeah. You started very early in politics in 1967.
Yes.
It's been 53 years.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I was very young.
Very experienced, and you were made appointed as a senator in 1974. That's 46 years old. And at the time, I understand, Tan Sri, you were only 30 years old.
I breached 30 because Constitution says you have to be 30. Yeah. By Tun Razak.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay.
So you have worked together with 4 prime ministers.
Yes.
Can you share with us, what's that experience like?
The experience is really incredible. You know why I say this? I was 22, okay? I was not yet married when I actually got involved, and I got married knowing all the ministers already. And so, after going into like Senate and Supreme Council of UMNO, that high level participation, it gave me the opportunity to look at how they perform, how they behave, those leaders of those days, how they dealt with issues. And why I say incredible is that there was not much politicking. You know what I mean? Like out in the open, divisive. In the cabinet, no. We actually discussed it very objectively. I mean, if Sami Velu were to talk about Indian, fair enough. But if it goes overboard, then we say, hey, come on. We have to give and take, things like that. And as a result, inputs, value added was all there. And there was less actually room for people to accuse anyone of saying, I'm taking from you, give to me. It's really understanding that we are a microcosm of multiracial, interfaith, and so on. And so you cannot just, okay, there's a Malay agenda, but you cannot just say it at the expense of everybody. So that was well understood. It was not like to take from Peter to give to Paul, And those days, that was how our leaders behaved. And sitting down with them, talking, listening to them talk first. And they bantered, but the debate was not personal. The debate was not like, really, I want to tear you up or tear your party down, until later on, when you have this partisan politics coming in, some using religion in order to get votes from those with less understanding about religion, things like that. Some became a little bit more, what do you call this, more in depth about whatever they're fighting for. So extremism, I would call it extremism, beyond what would be participative politics. And that's a much later era. As a result, 1969, May 13 riots. But by and large, when that simmered down, we went back to the participatory politics. And it was not that difficult when people understood that we are all looking at the same targets, achieving the same goals, and we're not trying to really marginalize you. But unfortunately, even though that was a government policy, sometimes certain politicians, for their own use at a certain area, for their galleries, would then add on to that, and make it seem as though that is our life's struggle, perjuangan. It's not. I mean, to me and to all of those days when we formulated the new economic policy, the poor is poor. You cannot deny that, whatever race, whatever religion. But unfortunately, or rather, for a fact, 1.9% of the economic wealth of the country was held by Bumputra, and 20-something% was by non-Malays, and the rest by foreigners. 60% by foreigners. So it's not about Malay and non-Malay. No. We're talking about, see how the foreigners have been actually holding a lot of wealth, through the plantations and mining. Yeah. And I asked one question in Parliament, in the Senate, to say, can the government explain how the interlocking direct trades in the plantations and in the mines have resulted in economic wealth going into the hands of foreigners. The interlocking direct trades with subsidiaries and so on, it's the same foreigner controlling. And the late Sulaiman Daud was the minister. He had to take 6 months to do the study, came up with a report, and then answered the question. So my question could not be answered until the two sittings later, and you make a big do out of it. So you asked me a question that took 6 months of my ministry to do, because nobody ever checked. And that formed the basis really for how the government can remedy that by, let us say, Pernas being set up to take over, to buy over, not take over, buy over some of the shares. You know, that's how we started with the LC concept.
Yeah.
But you have to explain properly to the Rakyat so that there is no room for people to misinterpret, for one thing, or abuse it for their own political purpose.
So today we see a lot of people being given GLC positions in exchange for support for the current government. Obviously, you know, some GLCs have been, those positions have been abused in exchange for political support. When you see things like that happening, and far from the original intention of forming GLC, how do you think we should move forward in dealing with GLCs in the years to come?
You have to determine that, one, the GLCs are not meant to be the cash cows for politicians. Secondly, they're not supposed to be dished out to cronies to do what they like. And if you don't have people in the leadership positions, in the ministries and so on, that are honest, with integrity and with the credo of nation before self, this will continue. You see? This is about how those people handle the portfolios.
Yeah.
You have 5 GLCs. Okay, I'll take my friends, put their chairman, remove all the professionals, you know, who didn't even think about anything. They may be paid well, but they also service well, let us say, because the private sector, right? They're not government. But to put your friends there, to remove people before their term is up, that's a no-go. I mean, if you remove a person who doesn't perform, fair.
Yeah.
And normally it's the board that decides. But to remove somebody who's halfway through and have done work and the results are good, mostly women.
Yeah.
I was quite shocked when I read, you know, because these are not, they're not there because they're women. They happen to be women. They're all professional. They were there because of their competence first, you know, abilities, track record. And to have them just removed just like that halfway, or even not even told, you know, only 3 days, and had to, during MCO and all that.
Yeah.
I think this is a real betrayal to the country, because we are hoping to get the best people being installed.
Yeah.
That's why I said use the word leadership, not leaders.
Yeah. And I can assume when leadership is not in a good form, in GLCs or in government, it makes it hard for the civil service.
Well, you're so polite.
Yeah.
It's not leadership, not in good form. When there is no leadership, when there is an absence of leadership in government or in private sector, this will be what happened. You know, it's really, I feel so sorry. Because I saw the building up of all this third sector, which is the government bubbling sector, right? Marah, dulu dia tak panggil marah, you know, dia panggil marah, and then they are all with a big purpose, to give scholarships for studies, you know, not to do projects.
Yeah.
You must remember, you didn't quote, I was 7 years Minister for Public Enterprises.
Yes, you're
okay.
right.
By the time I almost about 5 years or 4 years being there, I initiated in-house study of the performance of 900 plus government-owned companies which were under our ministry, state and federal, and we saw that very few actually were making money. Some of them, the subsidiaries that were created, you know, the anak and the cucu, actually were just spending money like nobody's business. My first shock was when I went to visit some manager's office. His office was 3 times the size of mine. He even had a nice fridge in his office. No, not that I was jealous, but I'm saying, wow, this is better than Prime Minister. and that company selling some stupid things, you know, they all run coffee houses, cinema, selling wigs. I mean, why? Why? They're not women, you know, they are government. So I went to Senon and told Senon and gave him the report, and I said, sir, the executive summary, the prayer is, we would like to shut down these 900 over companies. And he says, well, if that's a good thing to do for the country, you do it. I said, but there will be repercussions because these people are, they'll be connected. Some people who knows political down the line at state level.
Yeah.
It's okay. It was good. That's how I know. I talk about the leadership. Well, if it's good for the country, you do it, Rafidah. I will support you. I went back to office, called my Secretary General, said, Cik lah, we'll do it. You mean the Prime Minister agreed? Yeah.
So you all shut down 900 GLCs back then in the 80s.
Government-owned
companies.
Yep. So by the time 87 I became Trade Minister, the ministry had to shut down. And they made it entrepreneur development because there were hardly any. I said we will return the SCDCs back to the government, let the MBs and the CM jaga. What should we jaga from KL? This is state matter, right? And all the anak jaga. So what are we, UDA and all that? No need to jaga lah. To me, it's like taking away my job, but I'm not interested.
Yeah. If it's redundant.
Yeah, redundant. Like, UDA, all that kan. So there was so many FEMA. Oh, okay, you have your boards. So we set up SOPs and so on. And then finally, Tuan Hussein, changed, Dara Mahathir. When I became Trade Minister, he abolished the ministry and made it entrepreneur development. It's more relevant. We needed entrepreneurs then.
Yeah. You were the longest serving Minister of International Trade and Industry.
21 years.
21 years. Yeah, and that's how the Iron Lady reputation came about. Even foreigners, people from different countries recognized that. What was the experience like?
Well, to me, it's an experience that enabled me to meet leaders of the world. Nelson Mandela. I go to the World Economic Forum. I became one of the 3 chairmen of the 3 leaders groups. One of them, 1 year, I remember very well. I was chairman at Group A. Paul Kissinger, Henry Kissinger, chairman of Group 2. The Group 3 was Paul Volcker. We were talking about stabilization of the new Russians. Remember when the perestroika came and all the collapse of ruble, blah blah blah. So stabilization, actually. So we were discussing. You know who was in the group? Nelson Mandela, President Bolivia, Prime Minister of Algeria. There were very few ministers. I was a minister, but I became a leader. And see, that kind of experience you cannot get.
Yeah.
Because now they don't have that format anymore. I went for several years. I was chairman of the little group. One group of the broke into 3, right? And meeting people, not just like this, because really it gave me a chance to ask questions from them about Mandela, you became friends. That's what I mean. And some of them, ministers who were colleagues of mine, Trade Minister, became Prime Minister in many countries, in Singapore, in Japan, elsewhere.
We were then trying to build, the name of
Correct.
Malaysia. Was it hard telling them about Malaysia?
No, just tell them the truth. But you must have facts. You see, you're going this way, how you would plan to do it. For example, we want to say that we are the lowest cost country in the world. Now, how do we tell that? We talked to the Malaysian manufacturers, and the FMM, Traditional Malaysian Manufacturers, came on board because that was the most important thing for me, where the private sector was together with a sense of belonging of this country. I must tell you, this is my greatest satisfaction. We had dialogues all the time. Not dialogue, talking, it's asking questions, consultations on new policies and input from them. The most important is that they made a brochure doing business in Malaysia. The cost of doing business in Malaysia. They printed everything free of charge. They made thousands of it, lots, because every seminar that we go overseas, we give one each in a kit. You know how many years that has to last, right? I don't know how many thousand free. And they say, okay, you carry this wherever you go. And you know what they have done? They did a survey of every pertinent cost for a foreigner operating in Malaysia. Up, down to hospital, education, taxi fare, utilities fare, so that when the person comes here and rents a house, where it is, the location, metropolitan area, what's the rate of rental like? things like that. And it's so easy. You just explain in my speech, I say, by the way, cost of living in Malaysia, dia baca lah.
Yeah.
And that means you are telling, not just make nice noises,
Not hiring consultants
Oh,
to produce
I
booklets.
ban consultants.
Yeah.
I ban consultants from ministry. I tell my staff, you appoint consultant, you pay. That means you're not doing your work. If you need, unless it's purely technical. But what is so technical about Ministry of Trade? Most of these things it should be in your own knowledge. Otherwise, you're not worth being there, either as a minister or as an officer. You know what I mean? You should be taking charge of that job. So we never had consultants.
So civil servants back then had to do a lot.
They have to.
Yeah.
And I always press them to deliver the best. So MITI won the Private Enterprise Award almost every year for service. Not that we're boasting, but I'm just saying it's a booster for the morale of our staff. And when they retire, they come and tell me, I'm successful because of support from your staff. Not support for money, it's, as I said, facilitating, explaining.
Yeah.
And some of those foreigners are my friends because they realize that we really mean business.
Yeah. So, Tan Sri, I'm mindful that there can be, civil servants watching now, and when they are seeing a void in leadership in Putrajaya, or when they are in a particular ministry and they find it very difficult to take instruction from, the lack of leadership. What is your advice for civil servants who really just want to do a decent, honest job for the country?
Okay, first of all, know your substance, know your stuff, right? And secondly, try to have as much rapport as possible with your political bosses. And it's more, my advice would be more to the political bosses. The fact that you are a political boss there doesn't mean you can order people around. Just like you have a women fancy to do something. No. I'm human too. Thinking, why don't we do this? It's not why do we do this because I think I want to do it. Why do we do this because it's adding value to the country. It's going to help private sector. Who are your stakeholders, depending, right? But if you just say, let's do this for political reasons, so that I can make a nice speech and everybody will sorak me because my party election coming next month and then my gallery are voters. But that's not it. How can any civil servant actually abide by that? Because civil servant should be apolitical. So in my ministry, the civil servants are more dedicated to the work. Because I tell them, your own future depends on this. Why? Because if the country goes kaput, you get, are we retiring? You are young.
Yeah.
You get into trouble because the economy is shrinking and all that. They don't think in any more style or promote stuff, things like that, where it boomerangs back on them. And of course, there's a sense of pride to serve the country. You're not serving me, I'm the minister, so I don't give you instructions. That's one point. Don't give people instructions just because you're the boss. Talk, discuss. You know how much this institutional memory some civil servants have because they serve so many ministers and they know what needs to be done, what shouldn't be done. Take their word for it so that what you suggest can be further improved. If you insist doing it your way, which is a rubbish way, well, that's it. The Rakyat suffers. So sometimes, for political reasons, never ever do anything for political reasons. I always believe that, let's say you are a party, bersatu, harapan. If you do good for the Rakyat, they will vote you in. They vote you in by your member of parliament, isn't it? Who also has to work. So what politics is there? The politics is service. And the returns will be the votes. That's how I do it. That's why I suppose I am MP in one place for 30 over years, because you work. As an MP, you work.
Yeah. And then the people will just keep supporting
you.
you.
They keep supporting.
Re-electing you back.
And the party that I stood for.
So, Tan Sri, we are going through quite a difficult time now because of COVID-19. And in your experience as minister, you would have seen a lot of, or at least a few economic downturn. What is your advice to businessmen or businesswomen out there who are really struggling at the moment? what advice do you have for them that they can do to help themselves, or what do you think the government should be doing more for them?
Yeah, but first of all, we have to do a real analysis, sectoral analysis of our economy, meaning that who are the most affected, and also it's not just affected in one sector. We have to look at the whole value chain, right? For example, why do we close the restaurants? Because some customers are not able to come, suppliers tak ada, see, everybody's affected. So the value chain becomes disrupted. So if we look at the value chain of businesses in Malaysia, like in all other countries really, let's say let me talk about airline industry, a little bit of vested interest, just because that is closest to me. If the COVID affects everybody and borders are shut, there's no way airlines can fly. When airlines cannot fly, we cannot bring in the tourists and the visitors, either into Malaysia or take them out to the other countries. So you see, airlines, every airline is suffering like nobody's business. Some are worse than our own domestic airlines. Some are just shut down, right? Because there's no way. They just grounded whole field of this aeroplane. Now, that's one airline. So we know where the value chain of the airline is. The airline brings in tourists and business visitors and travelers, and then you have the hotels which they stay, the restaurants which they eat, and all the other tourism places in their tourism. So once this gets disrupted, flying gets disrupted, we have a 12 times multiplier effect. Every dollar we bring in results in $12 right down the line, including Grab, including taxi. Because they have ungkas, or even they have hire car, they sewa hire car. 12 times multiplier effect. So the moment it doesn't fly, that's it lah. There'll be all these be shut down. So that's for airline. Then you have the other sectors, the retail sector. So we have to do that very thoroughly. Otherwise, just looking at, okay, here's a nice package of money, won't have any impact and not effective. So it has to be targeted assistance. And it's not just for the COVID period. I'm more concerned about after COVID,
After the loan
moratorium, after the handout for these people below a certain amount, you get 1,000 things like that, right? After that, what happens? The government may not have any more money to dish out like that. These people have expectations. Employment, is it coming in? I doubt it, because some people take time to open up, right? So then the post-COVID strategic plan will have to be done.
Do you think, I know the frontliners, especially in our hospitals, did it very well during the MC.
Thank goodness.
Yes.
I must say, we must congratulate them, headed no less by the DG of Health. I mean, credit must be given to where it's due. The politicians got nothing to do with it. It's the professionals. And all his frontliners, they have been doing a superb work. We have been praised. Not that we wanted the praise, but facts show that we're able to identify very quickly where the cluster has developed. The public cluster, the wedding cluster, that kind of things. And that takes effort. We've never faced those things before now. That has curtailed the march of the pandemic here. But from the political side or the government side, admin and planning side, okay, we know how to handle things during the COVID. That's fine. We pay people, blah, 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 give soft loan or whatever lah. That's normal. Every country does that. My worry is after COVID, when everything is open again. What are we going to do? The expectations of these people. Maybe they have lost their job already. You're just paying them to cover up during this period. Is there job creation being done?
Yeah.
And the job creation possibly will have to be of a new manner. Because people are not doing, people say about the new normal. We haven't even identified for Malaysia what is the new normal.
I don't think there's enough clarity out there, especially for the business.
Not so much no clarity. Is anybody or any group, or that's why I always talk about crisis management group to be set up to identify what needs to be done as a result of COVID, during the COVID, but more importantly, moving forward from COVID.
Yeah.
That's what we're looking at, because a whole lot of people who are now unemployed or whose businesses are so jeopardized, right?
Yeah.
How do we rebuild them? Or are they supposed to go back the same way like before? Cannot be. Cannot be. For example, now you have drones that should be able to help plantations, should help all those agriculture crops. Drones spraying all these insecticides, because people cannot be brought in already, foreign workers.
Yeah. And not a flying car, right?
Oh, yeah, stop flying car lah. I'm talking about drones that can spray. I mean, I'm not creating this out of thin air. I see this on TV. People doing it already.
In the agriculture
sector. Agriculture sector, because they cannot get workers. So that's the most effective, isn't it? And so, for example, like schools, we have to start planning. Schools cannot be allowed to be crammed like now. I'm talking about physical space.
Yes.
Classrooms cannot be this old model anymore. Probably almost twice the size. They have to be well spaced. Why? Because the COVID is not going away. There's no vaccine yet, right? And even if there's vaccine, you don't know how long people keep on passing on this virus. So, the physical structure of schools and places of learning, one thing. Secondly, mode of learning, education. Stop talking about Jawi for the sake of God. God didn't ask us to learn Jawi. Now Friday is a Jawi day. It was announced. It gives me stress, Okay? When we should be saying Friday is IT day. Because now businesses are done by IT. Education is now online, right? And if some subjects are more amenable to be taught online, maybe school days can be cut shorter. No need for morning, afternoon, things like that. So in other words, the new normal must now be defined. What is new normal in public governance? What is new normal in society's life, living? And what's new normal in the private sector?
So they definitely have to do more consultation with the people, so that
not definitely. I'm not sure if they've done it, but anyway, to me, it constantly. And talking about IT, IT is a generic term, Please define in what area, what kind of IT, what artificial intelligence or what. We have 5G coming in, urbanization, blah blah blah. So we have to go down to identify these areas. Is it being done? I doubt it. I don't think we should hear political statements from ministers. Speeches tak payah lah. Get professionals to do it. No need to pay them. Malaysians are very sayang of their country, You call them to do, they'll do for free. No need to call them, no need to pay them. Professionals with lots of ideas are so eager to come and help to rebuild the country. They're not politicians. They don't belong to anybody, you know what I mean?
So, we have gone downhill in the last maybe 10 years. We have to play catch up now. Just listening to just IT alone,
It's frightening.
Yeah.
So then, first of all, stop talking about new normal. Identify what will be and what is already in other places the new normal. Even the way people do retail at the lowest level, the new normal is now using your scanner on the phone, no more money transactions. Correct? So people will have to be acclimatized to doing work, to doing transactions using that method, the new normal. But so now everybody talk about new normal, but without actually telling the rakyat, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. So the vaccines, for example, there are anti-vaccine groups in Malaysia, like in many other countries too. They have to be educated. They have to be made aware that this is not something simple. You know what I mean? You may have the vaccine so that it won't happen again, but some people say, no, I don't want to be vaccinated. They are the potential carriers. And this is one of the most virulent of viruses. We keep hearing that every day. And of course, for the government itself to be a new normal, there must be a new normal in government, as I said just now. Just having a written statement and then just mouthing those won't do. It's about sitting down with the private sector, with all the stakeholders of the country, And the stakeholders are not in Malay, pemegang taruh, you know. This is a stupid translation, pemegang taruh. Taruh is a bet.
Yeah.
We are not placing bets here. You know, buat taruh berapa ringgit kan? So pemegang taruh, stakeholder. Some idiot when translated it like that. No, pemegang stakeholder is ada apa ni? Dia punya interest dalam vested interest dia, which means that we have a stake in this country. Kita ada kita punya hak kan? As a citizen. So you have to then have all stakeholders come and talk. Education. I mean, our education is the key driver of whatever the new normal is. Now, if the modes of education and the components of education are not revamped, we will be back in the old normal.
Are we doing enough?
I don't know. I haven't heard a word from the education minister. Who is he or he?
Maybe Aziz, Dr. Aziz.
No, I don't know.
Aziz.
What I'm saying is that nothing has come out to see
Too
how.
quiet. Yeah.
No, I mean that we haven't seen any planning. Like they're still fighting for seats. See? Everybody wants to be a leader, but nobody wants to have leadership or show leadership. If they don't have, maybe I don't know. But I'm sad about this musical chairs of politics in Malaysia. Sad for the country and sad for the people.
So this is not my question, but many people have asked. Do you think it's time for Malaysia to consider perhaps having a woman prime minister?
Oh my God! Let me put it this way. Leadership, as I said much earlier in the beginning, should be regardless of race, religion, gender. Forget it. If a person merits being given that a trust to hold for the Rakyat to govern the country, so be it. Whoever it is, man, woman, I don't care what. Because if you start talking about male, female, all that, you may get the wrong people in. We're not there in the game of 30%, you know. We want competent people. If men are good, why not? Just because you want a woman, you have a substandard woman to replace a man, is it?
You think we have level playing field now?
We have, but unfortunately, you know, we're stand over a government who don't see the playing field. They only see a playing field where they want to play football, nobody else.
What do you think of the woman minister?
We went from having the deputy prime minister to especially during the MCO, people were making fun of Malaysia, and now just seeing that if there's just inactivity, or at least people are not hearing what's being done by the government. Well, as a ditto, I'm one of those, because I'm so used to having a government that's a hustle and bustle government, you know. You can recall your party people of those era. Nothing quiet about Malaysia, because we were moving forward, you know, in many, many ways. And it was an era where there was dynamism. And that was what made working in the government, whether it's private sector or civil servant.
Because targets were set and we knew what to do. Mistakes were made, of course. We went back and corrected, you know. We don't cover the mistakes. But there are, of course, some aberrations, you know, thousands and hundreds of. But aberrations are not the norm. When we see the aberrations, we catch them, they are all in jail again. But what I'm saying is that the culture of service was there in the public sector and in the government sector. And as a result, the private sector had more trust in the government, more predictability. You know, when we announce something and we lay out the stages, blah, 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 it was relevant. Because we already had the private sector come and add value with their proposals. You see, they can propose to the highest level also. The Prime Minister was chairman of the Malaysian Business Council. What else do you want?
Yeah. But I think for me to see that stark difference, we went from having a thick manifesto book with 400 manifestos to now having a government with 0 manifesto. And that transition, I can imagine, must be so difficult even for the civil service.
Well, I tell you, for Pakatan Harapan, the biggest mistake was we had the fat manifesto lah. You know, you
Too
don't
many?
too much. Nobody can digest. We never had big manifestos when I was in the end then. You know why? I was one of in the committee lah. And we knew that no point giving the very detail to the last decimal point because you don't know. See like COVID. What happened? You're beyond your control. It's not a zero-sum game, you know. So in other words, we just give the broad outlines and we do it. In between, we change, we amend, we improve. But now you make it like a Bible, Quran, all that you cannot amend anymore. It's wrong. I pointed that out already. In fact, I call it stupid manifesto. No need. We put it aside. Come back with just a format of the way forward.
Honest assessment, what do you think we can improve on if we were ever given a chance again to go back?
I don't see why you shouldn't be given a chance. The Rakyat should give Pakatan Harapan a chance, you know, because you have started the work. They can see where you're heading. Of course, you were groping around for a while, but that doesn't mean that you cannot do it. You have 5 years. I always tell the people wherever I go make speeches, give them the 5 years. It's not fair not to give them 5 years. How can you judge, right? So then you learn where you too much words, like you're too wordy. Too words, you know, I mean, you know, writing so many things. I never read your manifesto. I couldn't. I fall asleep.
Okay, let's go to something more lighthearted. I'm getting a bit stressed here. How do you motivate yourself when you're going through a very low point? Obviously, you would have those moments.
Yeah, sometimes I have to identify what's the cause of that low point. Private life is something else, kan? But a low point in government, I've never had a low point except May 13. Okay. Apart from that, because I'm not the type. If the low point was as a result of some people's stupidity, then I go and challenge them lah. Challenge you, talking to them and all that, meetings. This is wrong. I'm very outspoken, known for that, right? So in other words, I don't allow myself to reach that low point because I know if I can reach that low point, the Rakyat also reach that low point. Don't forget. So before you begin to feel the low point, you're already a bit depressed. Go in and say, hey, you know, the talk is that we're not doing well here. Let's change it. Let's correct it. And then everybody say, yeah lah, my kawasan also don't agree. See? So you have to monitor. Monitoring. What's that you're an MP for? All ministers are MP anyway. As an MP, you cannot monitor what the Rakyat is saying there. How can you input into the policies for them?
When you were going through that low point, did you have...
I had only May 13. Yeah.
Why was that a low point?
No, because it was a racially motivated. As I told you, I'm not a racially motivated person. To me, everybody comes from the same Adam and Eve, Adam dan Hawa. Or if you will believe in Darwinian theory, we come from apes. So the same mother, father, ape of don't know when. I mean, you know, if you don't believe in religion lah. So we were from apes. We didn't jump down from the clouds. Always, even internationally, I tell. So in other words, our origins were the same. That's how I look at it very simplistically. In some areas, like in the deep Amazon, so happened that they were there, but they didn't know anything about God. So they go around in loincloth. No God. They just pray to a stone somewhere. We are lucky because we had our environment allowed us to learn about prophets and so on, right? So we had our own religion, Islam, Christianity, Buddha, things like that, or Taoism. So there was some focus about principles of life. But that doesn't make us different. Now, so when May 13 came, there was that Malay, Chinese, Malay, non-Malay, you know, people died. Okay, let's not pretend. So, and I was young. So at that low point, I knew that it cannot continue like that. So when we had the new economic policy, it was to restructure the economic wealth of this country so that those that never had it, only 1.9%, can get some in an expanding cake, you know, not taking it from you, but expand the whole thing. And then you can have your 30%. And yours can continue to have your half a percentage like that. And the foreigners, you cannot take from them. We're not, we're not nationalizing things, but we can buy their shares. They can still be around. In fact, we're asking foreigners to come right now. Because the cake expands, our shareholdings proportionately will not, not be sacrificed. That's why I believe in the economic restructuring, provided there were no off tangent along the
Not
line.
being abused.
Not being abused, not being used for political capital, and not to develop cronyism and all that. You know what I mean? That this is the human reaction to something, opportunities. So to me, if it's really to cure that disparity gap or to narrow it, whatever restructuring is very good. But again, as I've said, over decades, there will be these aberrations. But aberrations are to be, but in the culture, the core of it remains the same, that our young people will then become real Malaysians. And the leaders that arise from amongst them will be a Malaysian leader, not a Malay leader. Even if it's a Malay leader, it's a Malaysian Malay leader, you know what I mean? Who don't see party as partisan politics. Party is just for having demarcation about, where you want to group yourself, that's it. And this is what we should strive for, because to me, that was a low point. When you start killing each other, that's a very low point.
It's very, very challenging today when we see the racial relation, especially with social media. There can be fake accounts, and when there's an accident, people focus on the race of the driver instead of, finding out actually what happened. So with social media today, do you think the politicians especially, have they been using it in a responsible manner? Do you have social media?
I have on Facebook, but I do not, as a matter of routine, do anything. During the PRU,
yeah, last year.
yes, but I was disclosing things that I know for a fact. I was commenting on issues that everybody was talking about, but had no idea how to vocalize it. So I put it on my FB because I know that's not my idea alone or my issue alone. It's so many people. They were happy that I did write it. Say, yeah, I feel the same way. So that's how I use social media.
You have Instagram, Tashri?
No, I don't have Instagram. I don't have Twitter. Instagram I have, but I hardly use it unless it's necessary.
TikTok?
I don't even know what it is. No, I don't use social media for any purpose. But I use Facebook for information.
As a platform.
As a platform, not for myself. I don't talk about myself there. I wish, let's say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Selamat Hari Raya, because I want to wish my friends, who are Malaysians. Malaysians are my friends, you know what I mean? That's how I do it. But not to every day write something, what I cook, what I eat, what I...
I do that for MCO. Instagram. Nowadays,
no, I don't.
Nowadays, people's attention. What do you call that? They don't watch anything more than 1 minute, which is very unfortunate, very difficult. It's becoming very difficult to capture the audience, and now I think it's going to be more challenging when the GE comes with social distancing. You cannot have ceramah anymore. You have to do Facebook Live like this.
Yeah. But you see, to me, the people have choices. Do they want to go on like this? Do they want a better future? Or do they want to go back to the principle that if you choose a government, let it run for 5 years. If in 5 years they cannot do it, then you give up. And have another vote and vote whoever you want. But please don't vote on racial lines. Please don't vote on gallery lines, you know what I mean? Or on lines of, oh, he's my favorite, my icon, she's my icon, and I vote. No. You must vote for the conglomerate of a party that can work to deliver. Not to work and sit and warm chairs to become, so-called leaders. That's not it. We cannot afford it. Yeah. It's so competitive, the world out there. Change is happening every day. And then you have this new norm as identified by, as I said, new ways of living, education, working, blah, blah. We cannot afford anymore to be politicking every day. And I hope our young people don't. Just be doing what you are doing in the best way you can, and when the time comes to vote in people that you have seen now or parties you've seen now can deliver.
What would you say to Malaysians who feel like there's no point in going out to vote because their elected reps jump and hop and become a traitor to the cause that they voted for?
Well, if I were the Rakyat or that, then I'll ask for a dialogue and scream his head off lah.
For the elected reps that betrayed them.
Yeah, I'm sure they're there, di balik kampung kan. Okay, ask for a dialogue and just tell him or her off. You lompat kata, we demand now you resign. In other words, no integrity. You see? How can you be a leader when that is the most important thing?
So, how do we tell Malaysians who feel like giving up?
Why should Malaysians give up? Because of some dungus out there you want to give up. Then you're dungu yourself. No, there are many good politicians around. Come on. There are many young politicians, even old politicians, that can actually galvanize enthusiasm, galvanize effort, galvanize their passion, to bring good for this country. They can work together. Give them a chance. I mean, you're not picking individuals, to warm seats. It's about working. If people just warm seats and make two stupid statements here and there, nothing happens. When we need them, I mean, your choice. You are the ones who suffer. So, why do you want to malas and vote? Vote and vote the right people in. I say the right people because you're not voting for the whole government, your constituency, but one person. So you vote for that person that represents, and you warn them. We vote for you. You lompat kata, you resign. That law is not yet being debated. Kan? People are playing around with the parliament.
I think that we need both young and old leaders.
Age does not matter for as long as what matters does not age. Okay, that's my credo. Get the persons who are able to contribute. If these young fellows are all going to grow old one day, how would they like to be told, you're old? Now they're all gung-ho, you see the 30-something, 40-something. Forget that one day they'll be 80 and they're still anxious to work, I'm anxious to continue retiring. I have to lay down there. I'm happy. But there are people who are at even 80, 90, they have that, the zest in them, wanting to see this country. And they don't mind. I don't mind helping on the sidelines. That's never been a problem with me.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for musical chairs performance. But, so the young people stop saying about age. How would you like it if you were still able to serve? And people say, no, you're old already. See? These young people forget where they came from, or where they're going to.
This, interestingly, Tun celebrates his 95th birthday today.
Yes.
Do you want to say anything to him?
Yes, I already sent him today a message in my Facebook, but I would like to say publicly now, a happy birthday, Tun, and may the blessings of God Almighty always be showered upon you and Tun Hasmah, and may you always be around at the times when we need you most, together with people who can work as a team with you to help this country move forward. And I hope that you have good health and remain steadfast in your commitment to help the country move forward.
We are coming to the end of the show. I just want to ask Tan Sri, many times you have told me in our private conversation that what is most important is to have a clean conscience. Whether you will go to sleep peacefully, you don't have to worry because you have committed something wrong, or you want to cover up, or you want to hide. How can you advise people outside, whether they are in politics or not, in different things? What is the secret to just being happy with yourself?
Let me put it this way. My late mother from young told us, live a blessed life, hidup berkat. And to her, hidup berkat means if you have, let's say, an oath of office that you've taken, please don't play the fool with that oath of office. And we Muslims take oath of office three times the name of God, as a Muslim. Every oath of office, whether as MP, a minister, whatever, and it says Wallahi wa billahi wa talahi 3 times. Can you imagine invoking God, doing whatever you're doing? At that point alone already I shiver, because you're so heavy, this responsibility. That is first fallback. The second fallback is, whatever you earn, you must be able to be clean so that you can feed. As my mother always says, whatever you feed your family will become flesh and blood. And 3, you can sleep because there's nobody opening a file on you. Isn't it? Because you know, you want to open a file, you get it lah. If somebody, of course, as a politician, people will have malice, they will rumor macam-macam, I don't even, sometimes I scold them lah kalau masuk FB. But my resort is to pray to God Almighty and say, please, give them the retribution. I don't want to take any action. I don't want to revenge.
For God
Dear
to be
God,
defended.
please give them the redemption. Whatever it is, revenge lah. Retribution, not redemption, sorry. Retribution. Because you know better. Because I in my work, I always remember the oath of office. It's something I dare not violate, It's I don't know lah for me. It's such a heavy thing. And I've repeated it so many times, you must remember. Since I was 30 years old.
Yeah.
Correct. And it bears heavily on me. Why? Why do you want to abuse your office? For what? You can't bring all that money with you lah. Because God has many ways of repaying you.
Will you consider being active in politics again?
Well, I would say I'm active, but in a different way. You see, active means, this is active in politics, otherwise why should I come and bother and talk, right? About active in interacting with people and talking to people, having conferences and all that, where they ask me political questions. I'm active as a person that was involved, but now I am not in any position by choice. But I'm happy. That input that I thought a little bit of value add. We do whatever we can. People must remember, it's not becoming a minister that makes you serve the country for the sake of God. Right? Why is it that you must be a minister, then you serve? The policeman on the road is serving, the nurse, the frontliner is serving, my goodness. Our people here is serving too. Everybody serves directly and vicariously. But we have reached a culture of politics today that unless I'm a minister, I'm not serving.
They need a position to serve.
Yeah, because everybody say leaders.
Yeah.
If you talk about leadership, some leadership don't need a position. Sometimes the leader is the person behind the leader. The leadership is not residing in the number one, somewhere else. True leadership doesn't need position, because leaders influence, leaders lead and guide, and leaders bring results and add value to the effort of the team. Nobody should say he or she is so clever, so good that can work. No. Without the proper team, nobody can work. I was lucky, my goodness. Every team I worked with in the ministry were teams that I take pride in, officers. And even the politicians, deputies and all that. Because they actually worked, and that is service. Because that's a culture we forged in every ministry that I work. Because I bring my culture there, and I always tell them, because every first Monday of the month, I have a big perjumpaan, and I always say, remember, we are here to serve Rakyat and nation, not serving me. I too am me. So please, let's work. And always reminding them that and about the blessed life. Opportunities banyak. But of course, those who actually took a bite, of they went out of the ministry, but no hoo-ha. I don't want to shame people, you see. I just removed the officers who were found, doing something that not right. I took them out. I gave them 1 week. Go somewhere. Most of them got deep frozen. I don't care where they go, but not in the ministry. But the others are doing well, working really well. So we need to reorientate the culture of politics in Malaysia.
So any parting words about the leadership Malaysia deserves before we end?
Malaysia deserves, as I said, leaders who are leadership that thinks as Malaysian. That's number one. Number two, has the requisite qualities of leadership, beginning with honesty, integrity. The rest all falls into place because your action, your decision are all based on how you think. What motivates you is what's in the heart, which is integrity, honesty. And thirdly, have good rapport with the stakeholders, with the teams who support, that is the ministries, and all, so that you're working as one engine for the country.
Yeah.
Not little engine here and there, and everybody break down.
Thank you. Thank you, Tan Sri, for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. I've been very nervous simply because, you know, we are talking to somebody who's very, very experienced, and you've been in politics longer than I've been alive. And so I ask for your forgiveness if I've been too nervous doing this discussion together, but really thank you so much, and I hope that Malaysians watching will not give up on Malaysia. You decide on the leaders that you want to lead this country, and as long as you still have that vote, you have to go out and cast that vote when election is called, because you choose the leaders who will serve and lead Malaysia.
And not only that, whatever we do now and you do now is really for you. People like me are at the last lap of our lives already. You are the ones that's going to inherit this country as Malaysians. So if you are going to spoil it for yourself, then you deserve it. So please make right choices, support the right groups, and don't be naive enough to listen to promises and all. I'm sorry to have to say this, because sometimes the youngsters may not go further than just what is being heard or said. Proven is more important. So to me, it's your own future of the young, and use social media properly. Do not create animosity amongst yourselves, especially various races and religions. That's not the place to smash each other, please. My friends are all multiracial, my goodness. And we're all in our late 70s in WhatsApp. You believe it? And we've been friends since their 50s. And they don't care what I am, Tan Sri, Puan Sri, whatever, no. We are just what we are, our nicknames and so on. And we are WhatsApp every day. And we were the ones who actually contributed to the Malaysia that was so dynamic. When we were younger, they were all professionals in many areas, teachers and so on, but retired. So young of today, please. The future is in your hands. You want a lousy future, more sliding down, make your choice.
Thank you. Thank you, Tan Sri Rafidah Aziz. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Real.